Story 1. I was that kid who was always checking out books at our small local library in the middle of nowhere. When I graduated high school, the librarians pulled all my checkout records for the past 10 years and found which book I had checked out the most. They went in together and bought it for me. The book was Edna St. Vincent Millay, Collected Lyrics. I still have the book, having carried it with me for nearly 40 years. Story 2. Got a $20 scratch-off for Christmas at an office party and won $500,000. That was over 20 years ago. Best gift ever. Story 3. My ex-wife, when we were dating, made me a picture frame collage of photos of me and my daughter. 15 years later, I still have it, and it is hanging in my new home. Divorced for 6 years now, she and my daughter, whom I helped raise, just made me one for Father's Day this year. Story 4. This was a gift I got my dad, but definitely applies. In high school in 1998, I went down to the Warner Brothers store and bought my dad a coffee mug. He has used it almost every day since. It has moved with him multiple times and been to multiple continents. He will not allow my mom to wash it because she might break it. I have been looking for another one for years just in case. I found it this year on eBay. When he came to visit, I had the new one waiting by his coffee maker. He walked in with it in the morning with a big grin on his face. Story 5. When my daughter was in second grade, her school had an event at Christmas time for the children to pick out a dollar store gift for their parents. She gave me a coffee cup because she knew I liked coffee. It is just a basic ceramic coffee cup with a snowflake design that holds about 10 ounces. It is also the first gift she ever gave me that she really put thought into. I loved it then and I love it now. I use it every day, and it reminds me of her each time. It has been almost 20 years. Story 6. Because I loved cooking, for my birthday in 1975, a good friend gave me a sturdy red-striped cotton apron with a label reading Paris Bistro. I have used it for decades, and after 50 years of wearing and washing, it is still in excellent condition. Story 7. Miniature Swiss Army knife, the kind with a toothpick and tweezers. Story 8. My cat was free, and I love her. I would probably not be here if not for the thought of, but what will happen to my cat? Story 9. As a housewarming gift, someone gave me 2 inexpensive plastic hummingbird feeders. I love those feeders and keep them outside for 8 months each year. Hummingbirds are fascinating. Story 10. I went to a birthday party and Christmas party where I knew only my boyfriend and his mother. One of the uncles brought a gift for me, which I did not expect. It was a book titled The Prince and the Pauper. I liked the book, but I loved that someone knew I was going to be a little uncomfortable and made a point to help me feel comfortable. Story 11. Extendable metal back scratcher. Most useful stocking stuffer I have ever received, by far. Story 12. 10-inch tweezers. Unclogging a drain? Tweezers. Something stuck in the vacuum? Tweezers. Lego dropped in the ductwork? Tweezers. When my dad said, "I don't need these, you should keep them handy," I scratched my head, but they have come in handy. Story 13. Some gothic woman at a local bar gave me a glow-in-the-dark skull trinket that she had in her bra. I never talked to or saw her again, but that skull is in my pocket every day. I should have gotten her name at least. I just remember she shoved her hand down there and handed it to me. She didn't even make eye contact or talk. I just said thanks and walked away. Story 14. The best pickle tongs that look like little claws. Long and narrow to get the smallest gherkins. Story 15. I hooked up with a woman I knew in high school. At the time, she was a single mother barely surviving on welfare and a part-time job. She embroidered a little pillow for me. It was barely a foot square and had delicate embroidery. It was such a sweet gesture. She got back with her child's father, and we parted ways. Kept the pillow even when I was going through really rough times. A decade later, my abusive wife tried throwing it away, tried donating it, then took a pair of scissors to it when all else failed. I still think of that pillow and the past it represents. Simpler, but more desperate times less marked by betrayal, abuse, and malice. Story 16. A gift card I received from my boss for $17.49 to Subway. I will never forget it because, wow, such a random gift to give, but we were expecting actual bonuses. Also, what did he buy to make it that amount? A drink? A brownie? I may never know. Story 17. I received my refillable journal as a gift from my aunt almost 5 years ago. It started a lifelong love of journaling. Story 18. I have a pair of sawhorses that were a Christmas present about 35 years ago. I still use them. Story 19. It is a refrigerator magnet with a ceramic tip for opening items and cutting tape. I use it daily. It is child-safe for children under 10. Brand name: Slice. Story 20. Socks and underwear. I love getting socks and underwear as gifts. Thank you for new ones. Story 21. I received a quick-release two-piece key ring for a birthday at least 20 years ago, and I still use it every day. It is very handy. Story 22. The first Christmas I spent with my now wife's family, her brother gave me a Swiss Army knife that fits on a keychain. Around 1990, it probably cost less than $10. I still have it on my keychain, and the scissors are still quite sharp. I rarely use the knife blade because it does not lock. Story 23. In 8th grade, one of my friends gave all of us in our group, about 6 or 7, an animal keychain for Christmas. She gave me a little brown bear whose mouth was crooked because it wasn't stitched correctly. She said she gave me this bear because, even though he wasn't the best looking, I would still treasure him more than the other girls would. That made me feel pretty good. Story 24. My dad wrapped a pink Kinder Joy capsule in Scotch tape and drew an angry bird face on it. I treasured that more than gold, but my mom's friend's child went through my stuff when I wasn't looking and tore down the tape. I still think about and miss my Angry Bird toy. I am going to try replicating it sometime and ask my dad to draw an Angry Bird face again to make it special. Story 25. A letter a friend wrote to me when I was feeling very down. I still keep it folded in my wallet. Story 26. I had a coworker who didn't get along with me well at first. We were brought together through an acquisition. He came from the smaller company and was very concerned about his future. The first 6 months were really rough. About a year after the acquisition, around Christmas, I got a package in the mail from him. We worked at different locations in different states. It was a little Hot Wheels USS Enterprise. It cost him quite a bit more to ship it than it cost to buy. But it meant that he was out, saw it at a store and thought, "Doom like Star Trek. I'm going to buy that for him." To me, it meant that he finally trusted me. We're still friends, and the Enterprise has sat on my desk ever since. Story 27. I have been using great Sennheiser wired earphones for the past decade that only cost £11, €15, or $17. Now my phone is on its last legs, so I will have to finally upgrade to something new. I will be forced to get wireless earphones of some type, which I am not sure about. I will have to spend at least 11 times as much as those wired ones. Most likely, the sound quality will not be as good, and they definitely will not last as long. Story 28. A souvenir turtle crochet with its tail as a tape measure. My girlfriend's niece told her to buy it for me from Vietnam, probably for less than $5. It is one of the best gifts I have received, and I have been using it a lot since we moved. Story 29. Puzzle books. When I was in school, we sometimes had logic puzzles where you received a few hints about something, and then you had to use deductive reasoning to solve the puzzle. The puzzles included clues such as Lisa ordered a sandwich with marmalade, Ben hates strawberry jam, and Jimmy only eats fruit spreads. The goal was to match each person with the sandwich they ordered. These puzzles, along with some jobs I have done, really helped me improve my skills in deductive reasoning. Story 30. One of my friends bought me a tiny stool with a cartoon pig on it. It was hilariously random, but I use it every day as a footrest. Story 31. My stuffed tiger was a gift from a friend after a major surgery. Story 32. A set of 3 enameled metal mixing bowls. A gift from my supervisor about 30 years ago. The small one is gone, but the other 2 are in regular use to this day. Story 33. A high school friend sent me a laser pointer to play with my cats when I adopted them. I use it at least once every other day. Story 34. When I was 14, my aunt gave me a screwdriver for my birthday. Came with multiple bits. Over 30 years later, I still have it. It is a pretty good screwdriver. Story 35. My old librarian bought a book to get signed by the author who was in town for a series. I read 5 books in 2 weeks. Story 36. My friend got me this vintage goose-shaped plate in a secondhand shop before COVID-19 because I love geese way too much. It is the plate I use the most, to be honest. Story 37. This is a simple one, but it was just a tiny wooden bowl. I use it for various things and wish I had more. It is so small, but I love it. Story 38. When I moved out on my own, my aunt and uncle gave me a nice colander, a box of spaghetti, and a Bible. I cooked and ate the pasta using the colander, which is still in use more than 20 years later. I am not religious, so the Bible went into a box and disappeared. Story 39. I got a stone coaster set as a housewarming gift. They are made of stone, so they won't break anytime soon. Story 40. Travel items including luggage scale, laundry bag, and location trackers. Story 41. My aunt got me a bathroom bag when I was little, and I still use it. It is very handy. Story 42. In my 3rd year of college as a resident assistant, we did Secret Santa, and a girl I had known for years gave me a super soft blanket. My wife, who I knew before this other girl, asked me where I got it and then said, I hate her on principle, but I love this blanket. Story 43. My friend made me a crochet plushie of the sad hamster meme. It is easily one of the best gifts I have ever received. Story 44. My wife got me a keychain that I use and wear every day. I think it was only about $10. Story 45. A set of glass candles that you fill with liquid paraffin oil. I received them in a gift exchange at the office nearly 30 years ago. Story 46. It seems I am sitting with a collection of coffee mugs. I insisted on not receiving expensive gifts and mostly receive food items and coffee mugs. I also received a beer glass. Story 47. A Bluetooth dongle for the auxiliary jack in my car. It is great because I can play my music and podcasts over the car speakers while driving in my older car. Story 48. Fox Sr. gave me a light-up USB snowman. It is a great desk decoration. Story 49. My brother got me a set of gymnastics rings many years ago that I still use daily. Story 50. When I was a child, my father bought me a cheap Rolex knockoff watch for about $15 while he was stationed in Turkey. I still have it today, 20 years later, even though it stopped working just 2 months after he gave it to me. In fact, I have kept all the inexpensive and quirky souvenirs he brought me from his time overseas. He also introduced me to collecting foreign currency. Those were good times. Story 51. A cute pill organizer for all my daily medications. It was very thoughtful. Story 52. Years ago, my brother gave me a beanbag. You can heat it up in the microwave or cool it in the freezer and use it as a heating pad or ice pack. I used to keep it in my office freezer and put it on my neck and forehead to relieve headaches. Smells good too. Story 53. A handheld luggage scale. I never have to wonder if my luggage is overweight, and it is extremely accurate. Story 54. My little sister gifted me a coffee cup and apologized for it being such a boring gift, but I have been using it every day for 10 years now. Story 55. My niece gave me a number 1 uncle keychain. It will be a part of my keys for as long as I have keys. I am her only uncle, so I guess it was a default choice. She spent her own money on it. Honestly, it is one of the best gifts I have ever received. Story 56. Not received, but one I gifted. For his 11th birthday, I gave my nephew a Build-A-Bear teddy with his mother's voice recorded inside. She had passed away a couple of months before. He turned 15 2 years earlier this month. He keeps the bear safe at his grandparents' house now. Story 57. I bought a period underwear set from the Asian Women's Welfare Association. In the month it was shipped, they were giving out a free small vibrator with the purchase. Then I lost it and I still think about it to this day. Story 58. My favorite wooden spoon was a wedding gift 25 years ago. Cost about $7, and I have had it for decades. It has been carried from my old home to my new home. Yes, I clean it properly and look after it as it is wooden. I have tried many times to find its exact copy to buy a few more but never found it. I have a dream kitchen in a new house with all the gadgets, but the wooden spoon is still my favorite. Story 59. I recently replaced it, but I still own it. I was given a leather wallet 20 years ago, and I cannot imagine it cost more than $20 at the time. I used it for 20 years and finally decided I needed a new one. There is nothing like a well-used leather wallet, and I am still breaking in my new one. Story 60. Rubber rings to go around my keys to help identify them. They have different tactile feels. This really helps in low or no light situations. Very helpful. Story 61. A friend got me a Wallet Ninja about 10 years ago. Most parts are not great, but for a bottle opener and a basic screwdriver, it does the job. Story 62. A friend gave me this large hardcover book about a Chinese movie, written in Chinese, as a joke present. Cost them pennies as the shop was practically giving it away. I have been using it as a laptop tray for the past 10 years. Story 63. When I was a kid, my dad got me a clock radio that had 2 alarms. From then on, I needed 2 alarms separated by 20 minutes to get myself up. Thanks, Dad. I loved it a lot, but yeah, I'm a 2-alarm person. Story 64. My dad gave me a scrap of stainless steel welded chainmail, which I have had as my keychain since the 1980s. Story 65. For a Secret Santa gag gift, my friend gave me a portable travel bidet. I no longer have that one after years of use, but now I have an equivalent with me while I am traveling. Story 66. Not under $20, but my wife bought me one of these a few years ago. I still use it, and she laughs that out of everything she got me that year for Christmas, this is the thing she sees me using the most. It is like buying your cat a toy, and it prefers the box it comes in. Story 67. A handkerchief. When I was about 18, I helped a lost tourist who did not speak English or any other shared language. They tried to pay me, which I refused, so they gave me a handkerchief and a bill from their country. I have always kept them as a reminder to be kind. Story 68. When I first moved out of my parents' house and got my first apartment, my dad bought me a plastic jar opener. It is a simple plastic handheld grip that probably cost less than $5, but it has definitely been my most used and valued kitchen tool for the past 30 years. I still use it to open jars of spaghetti sauce, jelly, and more, even though I now have a strong husband to open things for me. My dad has been gone for almost 15 years now, and I still think of him whenever I use it. Story 69. When I moved into my apartment, my brother bought various necessities for me that he knew I would need. Included was a small gag gift. A Christmas gnome from IKEA. Nomi is still prominently displayed in my apartment, and it has become a game with family when they visit. Hide the gnome, but he must remain in plain sight. I think the record was on top of the ceiling fan. Story 70. My mom gave me a tiny rice cooker for graduation 12 years ago, and it is still going strong. Story 71. A St. Christopher medal from a high school Secret Santa exchange. It was probably free, and I am no longer religious. We were both raised Catholic, but I still have it and carry it when I travel. When he gave it to me, he said he knew I wanted to see the world. I was and remain very touched that he paid enough attention to know that and gave me a gift that showed real thought and intention. Story 72. Folding stainless steel scissors. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.